Welcome, everybody. It is WrestleMania week. It is Fernando. It's Gilberto. We are excited. Gilbert, how hyped are you for this week?
I'm very hyped, Fernando. I was just watching the amazing promo that The Rock, the final boss, and Roman Reigns cut on Monday. Yeah, don't come looking for a butt whooping if you're Cody Rhodes and Seth freaking Rollins.
Dude, even the referee got an ass whooping in one of those. Like the Rock, after they went off camera, The Rock grabs the belt and hits the referee for trying to chat with.
Did he yell
Seth
cut
Rollins.
or that's it?
Yeah, no. It was like like they had already gone off camera. Like the Raw was over, and The Rock just grabs the belt. And
he does not care right now. I love
it. No. Daniel said he's unhinged right now. So, but I mean, what better Rock to have than an unhinged Rock? But Gilbert, we are not alone today. Why? Because we are bringing in our compa. It is WrestleMania 40 week, and I am hyped. Last year we had our compa on to preview it. So this year we are doing that again. He is a podcast manager for The Ringer. He is a co-host of Wednesday Worldwide on The Ringer. He is the man, the myth, the legend, Benjamin BJ Cruz. He is our guy. What is up, BJ? How are you doing? Thank you so much for jumping on with us.
You guys, thanks so much for having me on. Happy WrestleMania week. It's let's keep the yearly tradition going, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah, we have to.
Oh, it's so much fun, man. Thanks for having me on, guys.
I like the hat, BJ. Did you get it out there in Brooklyn when you saw the Great One live in person?
No, this is actually the product of and just proof that Instagram ads work, because this showed up just as a PacSun ad. Immediately bought it, and I think it was on sale too. And I bought this before. This is a couple months ago now, so this is before Rock was back regularly on TV. So it's I feel like I'm one of the day ones out here.
Yeah.
Hey. Well, this way.
No, but it's the L though. Apparently, that's what the Rock.
No L.
No L.
Bring it in. Bring in the thumb.
That L shit worries me.
he did it right on Monday though. I looked at him.
So.
Was keeping an eye on when they're all raising their ones. That thumb was nicely tucked in. So he's learning. He's learning.
He got a conversation from the tribal chief. Hey, you got to tuck in that thumb there. But
right,
BJ, you're out there in Brooklyn, and I want to ask you about the everything you saw there, and just but I want to get your whole overall point of view, from what you've seen with The Rock, the final boss persona. He came back, and Fernando's brother Daniel, he likes to kind of get on me because I'm a big Rocky fan, and when he came back, last time against John Cena, it didn't go so well with the promos, reading off the risk and there and what's going on. But I think he took it very seriously this time around. So being there in person in Brooklyn, seeing that, and just your overall point of view, how have you enjoyed this Hollywood Rock, the villain Rock, coming back with the Bloodline?
I mean, this is just an elite version of The Rock, and something we haven't seen in a long time, right? Because every time he comes back, at least in the past couple of years, it's been Rock, but it's also been probably like 40 to, if not half, Dwayne Johnson, right? So it's hard to disassociate the two at some point. This version of he's so deep into The Rock, where it's he's brought back casuals like who were maybe fans of The Rock back in the day, and I haven't been hit up with texts like this in years, just covering professional wrestling, and everyone loves it. And in terms of how he's been booked and everything, obviously when he first came back and he dropped that first promo on day one, back in January, he teased it. Should I take a seat at the head of the table? That's we thought that this was a possibility, but obviously they had to pivot to this version of The Rock after the backlash and the We Want Cody movement. But I think he's knocked it out of the park, man. I mean, I think that he's found a way to remove the Dwayne Johnson of it all from it and just be The Rock, be the jackass that is The Rock, be heel, be Hollywood Rock, right? And it feels like watching someone ride a bike that they haven't ridden in a while, and it's honestly just super special to watch. It doesn't have it hasn't been perfect yet. Like I think the whole Memphis song promo that he cut, and even talking about how Memphis was home, that removed me a little bit, honestly, but I'm just being nitpicky at this point because I think his return has been so overtly successful that I was like, has everything been successful? And then you look at the Memphis thing and you have some questions, but overall, I think that they've, considering where we were after Cody handed him that spot a couple weeks ago and the vitriol and the backlash that they received, they've bounced back. And obviously, look, I think Rock has a big say in how he's being perceived, but they've chosen the right lane for him right now.
Real quick, Gilbert, BJ,
Yeah.
he wasn't even like this when he came back to face Cena those
Right.
2 times. Like he wasn't like it felt like he was 1 foot in, but 1 foot out and still in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And it feels like right now he is all in. I mean, I love the Tribal Chief. I love Roman, but Roman hasn't even shown up this year as much as The Rock so far to start this year, 2024. The Rock has shown up more on TV. So he's fully invested in this, and he's shown up even without Roman or any of that. So you got to give him a lot of credit because he's it's not like before where legends come in, they kind of come in, they leave, this, that. No, he's fully invested in this. He's been in there almost day in and day out, and you got to tip your hat off to The Rock for being all in right now when it comes to that.
Absolutely. I was talking about this on Wednesday Worldwide on our show today, and it was I feel like he's almost forced Roman to show up more to work, right? Because he shows up, on all these Raws. He's literally back to back Raws now, SmackDowns. He's showing up without Roman. To your point, he's pushed Roman to work back to back nights, right, on Saturday and Sunday. Like Roman should be is he filing for overtime at this point? You know what I mean? Like that's how, and that's part of his deal. I get it, but that's how little Roman's been on TV for buildups and whatnot. But I feel like, Rock has pushed the envelope in such a positive way where, again, Roman's a tribal chief, but if we're looking at this from a performance standpoint, like he's had to follow suit in terms of, I got to show up, right? Because some of the narrative in some corners of the wrestling internet is that, it is Rock outshining Roman. Right. And they've kind of covered that up a little bit in the past couple of weeks, saying that Roman's been, actually been pulling the strings with Rock and his actions. But again, Rock's been there a lot lately. And, Roman has had to, by proxy, the same, because again, you can't have that narrative going into this match. It still needs to be, the focus is that Sunday, Roman defending his championship.
Yeah, BJ, because the whole final boss thing, I'm like, wait, I thought Roman Reigns was the final boss. He's a tribal chief, but whatever. That's a different discussion for another day. So I can see kind of the conflict there. But before we ask you more about the main event, we will later on. And Fernando's going to give you kind of a quick rapid fire. So, for some predictions, put you in the hot seat. But before we get there, I just want to get, because Fernando tells me that, especially in New York, like wrestling fans, they're hardcore. So how was it being there in Brooklyn, where you're near Seth Rollins when he came out? And how's that, just the whole atmosphere been around the East Coast right now? I don't know if you're in Philly right now or New York, but how's that been being there right now?
So, I just got to Philly this morning. So okay. I'm entrenched in WrestleMania mode, but you're right. I was in Brooklyn for Raw on Monday. And the last time I'd been to Barclays was probably 8-ish years ago for a Nets game. A Brooklyn Nets game when they sucked. I mean, they suck now, but they were just also really bad then. The temperature in that stadium and the volume was less than ideal. And so I haven't been able to experience kind of a New York crowd yet, a wrestling crowd, I should say. And to be in that building, I'll tell you, when The Rock came out to open the show on Monday, the pop was insane. That first initial pop. And obviously, once he gets into Rock mode and the crowd realizes, hey, like, we have to boo this dude because, we're part of the show. That's part of the show. They did that. But that initial pop where they realize this dude is it. He is him, right? It was incredible just to be surrounded by these fans. And again, I think in general, wrestling fans are just on a high. It's like it's close to cloud 9 right now, as you can get, right? With, I know we talk about the Attitude Era like it's lore, and that was when we were probably, for some of us, at our peaks. I think it's getting pretty damn close right now with this, because that was a hot crowd. It was I got to my seat.
Era.
Yeah. Oh my God. I got to my seat like 15, 20 minutes before showtime. And it was after everyone was going nuts. You could feel the buzz. It was just
that entrance is incredible though.
Oh, so they probably don't show this on TV, but like I saw the smoke emerging from Gorilla before the music even hit, and that's the crowd already started buzzing from there. Like they hadn't even hit the if you smell what the Rock is cooking, right? It was nuts.
Yeah, no, and the aura is just different. Everything is just different right now with them, and they're really cooking. But I think this card is pretty stacked. Like we mentioned, it's now 2 nights. I saw CM Punk on with Helwani, and he said, "Look, maybe if it would have been 2 nights years ago, maybe I wouldn't have freaked out, and I would have had a chance to main event and do stuff like that." So I think WWE's done a great job, because I remember back when I used to watch Total Divas, I remember there was a match where the Divas were going to come out and fight. Well, they were Divas back then. Obviously, they're wrestlers and everything, but there was going to be a match. And because I think it was The Undertaker and somebody went too long, there was a match that had gone too long, or The Rock came out. Something happened to where they canceled the Divas match and they couldn't go out. And you could see them crying and they couldn't believe it. So now you get 2 nights. So I think this card is stacked. So BJ, I'm going to put you through the ringer, no pun intended. Yeah. And I'm going to make you just real quick. If you want to give me, I'll give you a match. You give me your prediction, and if you want to say a little bit about it. But let's start it off hot. Jay versus Jimmy Uso. 1, will we see Rikishi? 2, what is your prediction?
I absolutely think we're going to see Rikishi. I mean, those are his boys, man, and they have a WrestleMania match against each other. Like they've talked about this in the past, right? That's their dream match. I'm going with Jay. I think he main event Jey Uso, man. This is no disrespect to Jimmy. Yeah, I know I recently dubbed this the arm thing, which just really shows how actually lame I am, and probably
I gotta check that out on day 1. So I was at day 1 here in San Diego.
Right.
And that, like, when he came in, like the whole, like, everybody stood up and everybody was just doing it. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, Jay is really, and I just watched the Roman documentary, and he's like, dude, Roman elevated me to this. And he told me, do something that's going to put you out there. Do something that's going to change you. And slowly but surely, that's what happened. And he is so over. It's ridiculous. That's why I personally, I don't think he's going to screw Cody on. We'll get into that. But I just think Jay's too hot right now as a babyface. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think he's going to win this match. I think it just makes the most sense to kind of propel him to that next level, right? I think he's been talking about singles gold for a while now, and this is a great, jumping off point for that. So I'm going with Jey Uso on this one, man. Shout out to the Bay, San Francisco, California.
There he is. Speaking of that, let's go Dragon Lee and Rey Mysterio versus Santos Escobar and Dum Dum. Who you got on that one?
I want to pick Dom so bad. I'm a Dom stan. I think
he got booed like crazy when he was here. Like, I did a whole story on him, and he was excited about it.
No, he loves it. He loves every second of it. And that being said, I do think that there is something percolating. There's issues percolating within the Judgment Day, right? And I think he is the odd person out, or that he will be, right? There's him and Mommy aren't quite getting along as well. There's a lot of questions coming from Finn and Damian, and even JD. JD's kind of on his side, but I feel like at some point JD's going to turn on too. So I unfortunately am going to pick against Dom. I'm going with Dragon Lee and Ray in this one. I just, Dom's lost. He's lost his last 2 WrestleMania matches. So I think this is going to be number 3 for good old Dom, unfortunately.
So he's going to go the opposite way of the Undertaker then? Just lose?
Yeah, like a defeated streak.
A defeated streak. All right. Let's go with this one. This one, I thought WWE kind of did something wrong last Friday with bringing out Jade Cargill. She talked. She went into the back. Then later she came out to help Bianca and Trinity. I thought they should have just let that happen. Like, that should have been her coming out to get her fired up, to get the crowd excited and everything. But whatever, I digress. So they are facing Dakota Kai, Asuka, and Kairi Sane. Who you got in that one?
I think it's going to be Jade. Bianca and Naomi. I don't think it's going to be particularly
Naomi, my bad. I call her Trinity.
No,
That's her real name.
That's a real name. You know, it's her
yeah.
shoot name. So you're good.
Exactly, yeah.
I think this is going to be a showcase for Jade specifically. I think, you know, Bianca and Naomi are gonna show out as well. But I also think this is a great way to, if they're not fully comfortable with Jade in ring yet, this is a great way to protect her, keep her, you know, with honestly 5 other women who are incredible workers and can help her kind of elevate and take it to the next level. But I don't see a world where, especially with, again, it's obviously a 6-woman tag. The tag titles are not on the line. A loss is not going to hurt. That loss is not going to hurt Damage Control, right?
Yeah.
So, but if anything, is going to boost Jade's stock, you know, potentially 10 times more, depending on, you know, the spots that they book for her.
Can I do a follow-up real quick, Fernando?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm just curious from your point of view, because Jade came from AEW, and
he's a big fan. He's a big.
I'm a big fan. Once I saw her, like I saw her one time.
Why wouldn't she be? Yeah, she looks.
I'm like,
amazing.
Like, who is this specimen here? So I thought she's destroying it by AEW. So when she came to WWE, I'm like, she's ready to go. Go ahead, get in the ring. But it took her some time. I guess, what do you expect from her as a wrestler after taking time away to get better and polish up?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they did the right thing here in terms of, you know, I will say there was a level of impatience, I think, from, you know, from the wrestling internet to see her thrive in WWE, right? Because she screams WWE superstar, right? She can talk, she has got the look, and the only questionable thing about it was, can she, you know, her in-ring abilities, right? And her work rate. She can obviously go in the ring, but like they wanted her to improve and put her in a position to succeed. I think she's going to be a megastar, right? You can just tell with how specific they were with crafting even her entrance, right? Where it's one of the things where she now has a memorable entrance, her just talking at the front of it before her music hits, right? Just the way it's lit. And again, she looks like a freaking superhero. Like it's nuts, man. Like, I know, you know, Wade Barrett was kind of, you know, hamming it up on Friday with how, you know, in amazement he was of her appearance, but dude, my wife loves Jade Cargill. Like, she just radiates a presence that, yes, it's like, you know, us wrestling nerds are like, oh yeah, she's going to be the next one, but she's got that crossover and mainstream appeal too that I think is going to draw in even more fans. That I'm sure WWE is clamoring for. You know, like, if we thought Bianca is already doing that to an extent, Jade is just another version of that, which is incredible to think about.
And she's actually the first person to go from AEW to WWE. Like, Cody's been in WWE before. Yeah. CM Punk had been in WWE before. Like, Andrade had been in WWE before. She had never done it. And for WWE fans to be so enamored with her, that's huge for her. So yeah, that's why patience is key when it comes to her. So the more that they do with her, yeah, that's cool, but you have to have that patience if you're WWE. I know the fans are clamoring for it, but you need to have patience with her because she's learning. And I thought she was really impressive at the Royal Rumble. Being able to carry Nia Jax like that, like, not a lot of women can do that. So that was definitely impressive. But you said she could be a megastar. So
Fernando's favorite
of the megastar. I'm not a megastar guy, BJ, just to let you know.
You're out on LA Knight.
I could close my eyes and I feel like I'm listening to Stone Cold Steve Austin. I don't want that. I want somebody, like, sometimes he's just too mid for me sometimes. And then in the ring, I think he's all right. Like, maybe I'm just too I'm not hypocritical. Maybe I'm just too critical of him, but I'm just I haven't completely bought in yet. I don't know what it is.
Man, I'm in on LA Knight, man. I think I mean, look, he's not gonna work a 5-star match that, you know, that we're all going to be thinking about years from now. Yeah. I do think he's world championship caliber, right? Like, to your point, I don't know if he's quite there yet.
Yeah, no, he's not.
Because, you know, they've tried to like build him there. And, you know, he's gotten a couple shots at the title now. It hasn't really come to fruition yet, but he just has a connection with the fans that is it's really hard to quantify, right? We're just like, he's got the chants, right? He's got the catchphrases.
Yeah.
The look is crazy too with him. Like
yeah. The Timberlands,
right. It's so specific. He's got the LA
Yeah.
Knight sunglasses.
But, okay,
and the vest.
let me put it to you like this, and I might catch flack for this, but I don't care. I thought Logan Paul against Roman Reigns was a lot more entertaining than Roman Reigns and LA Knight, if I'm being completely honest.
I think I would agree, but I agree with that because of how good Logan is.
Holy
I think Logan
crap.
is
that guy's gonna be he's gonna piss people off. He's gonna be a WWE champion at one point.
1,000%.
Like,
and
he's that good.
It's really just with him. I think the most annoying part is as diehard fans, you have this extra layer of defense when an outsider comes in, right? Where you're just you're here for, you're not here for a long time, you're here for a good time type thing. And he's just so goddamn good. It's so frustrating, but at some point, you just have to stop hating because he's got it all. And
but he cares. He actually cares.
He does, and he enjoys it.
He was with Rhea and they did their podcast, Impulsive or whatever, and he was trying to pick her brain while he was asking her questions. But you can tell he cares. Like, he's like, I care about putting out a good product. I care about doing that. You're like, wow, okay, he actually does care. There's other guys that don't give a shit, but you can tell he actually does care, which that's why I can't knock Logan. I know he's a D-bag, and I know he's done other stuff outside of here, but he cares about it. I mean, you can't hate on him for that.
And look, the fact that he's getting a prime sponsorship in the ring just goes to show you, one, how much WWE thinks of him, but also you have to have a certain level of magnetism and career. Like if it was, some lower tier mid card guy who had for some reason a sports drink, it'd probably be weird, right? Or if it was some, I don't know, let's just throw Ludwig Kaiser out there and he's hawking Gatorade. It's like it'd be weird, right? Yeah. But with Logan, I think he's like earned our respect. Whether you like him or not is one thing, but I think he's earned the respect of not only WWE but fans to an extent. Where when that thing pops up in the middle of the ring at all these PLEs, it's gonna be weird at first, but I feel like we're gonna be fine with it in the long run.
All right, so
I'll just say this because I'm kind of a hater of the Paul brothers, but for you guys to praise Logan Paul that much and for him to be considered a future champion, then I guess he's putting in the work. I'm a big boxing guy, so I watch the other brother, and I don't know how he is. Jake Paul as
Jake's
a boxer,
kind of a clown compared to Logan. I think
like he puts in the work too, but he doesn't try to go fight the champions in that sport. And this one here, Logan, he's doing the best.
I feel like Jake's gonna cross over at some point too. Like
I think so too.
I think he'd be phenomenal too. Like
I think he'd be. The only thing is, I don't know. I think Jake is a little bit more unhinged, so I think they'd have to put him on the Netflix show and not on regular Raw television. But I actually thought last year when we were there in LA, I actually thought he was the one in that outfit, and he was going to be the one that. KSI. It was KSI. Yeah. I actually thought it was going to be him, and then remember when they were in Saudi. Jake was there, so I thought, Jake is gonna do something and try and help him beat Roman. He didn't, and I'm like, okay, they're teasing this right now. Like little by little, they're putting breadcrumbs to tease.
But he had music right when he came out. Do you remember that?
He did.
And that was where I was. Where you obviously assume that he was gonna come there sometime, but the fact that they've prepped music, I think there's gonna be something there down the line.
Yeah, they're working on something. But all right, LA Knight and AJ Styles. This is the one match that I'm kind of like about. Like, I don't think they've done enough to really like promote it as hard. But what do you think?
I mean, the home invasion was wild.
Actually, no, that was cool. That was cool. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I got LA Knight for this. I think again it'll do more for him to win the match than for AJ, right? If AJ is almost Teflon to the point where if he loses a match, he'll be fine. You could throw him in a match for the US title next week and it'd be fine. You know what I mean? So LA Knight needs this type of win, especially the way he got screwed out of the Elimination Chamber, right? Like AJ Styles just flew across the world to hit this dude with a chair. So I think this is LA. And again, LA Knight was not on the card last year.
Nope.
Right? So, which is, again, given his year, is wild to think about. I think this is going to be his time to shine.
I definitely think he needs this a lot more than than obviously AJ does. But moving on to the next one, Logan versus Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens. I think that one might steal the show, to be honest.
That's a good call. I think Logan's gonna retain. That's usually how this works in these, you know, where it seems like the odds are stacked against the heel, and I think they're gonna find some way to pull it out. And Randy and Kevin aren't gonna work together the whole match. Like, I'm sure there's gonna be times where there's some double teams going on, but at some point, you know, they're gonna be gunning for the same thing, and they will turn on each other. And I think Logan's gonna sneak in there. Like, there's a fourth member of this match, and it's those brass knucks, right? Those brass knuckles have been such a key integral tool throughout Logan's the storyline throughout the last couple of months, right? Dating back to the show in Saudi in November. Like, that's how he won the US title. That's how he's retained, or he kept the US title, you know, giving it to he made Kevin Owens basically hit him with it, and the ref saw it. And that's how he got into this feud with Randy, right? He just kind of cost him the spot at Elimination Chamber. So I think, as much as it seems like a 2-on-1 match, triple threat, the odds are a little bit more even than I think we're starting to remember. So I'm going with Logan on this one.
All right. Final two. The ladder match for the tag titles. Obviously, it's the Miz and R-Truth. It's obviously the one, Finn Balor and Damian Priest are the champions. You got a lot of really good tag teams in there. Do you think the tag titles are separated? And if so, who do you think? Because Michael Cole said it on Monday. He said the match does not end until the titles have both been taken off. So that, to me, makes me think that they're going to split these up. But who do you think wins it? Yeah,
I mean, I definitely think they're going to be split up. Like, they wouldn't have added that caveat if they weren't going to, or at least put it out there.
They need
right?
to.
And I think it makes sense. They've, you know, when they split, they basically resplit the world title. So, you know, to do the same with the tag team titles makes sense. I think DIY comes out with it on the Raw side, and probably, as long as they're still in this match, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. I can't call them A-Town Down Under. That shit sounds crazy.
I know.
But I think that's how it's going to shake out, because I think there's going to be, I think Rhea's going to be the only one who leaves Philly with a title in Judgment Day. So,
wow.
Spoiler alert.
That's a good one. We'll get into that in a second, but last one, Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre. We're talking big three matches, and I feel like this is a huge match. But I kind of wanted to throw it in right here because I know Bailey's your girl, so I was like, I want you to talk more about that. But obviously, I think Drew as a heel has been incredible. I think the way he's feuding with CM Punk and Seth Rollins at the same time, I think has been hilarious. So what happens in this match, and do you think CM Punk gets involved?
I definitely think Punk gets involved. I mean, he's doing commentary, right, where he's going to be the proximity to the ring.
Him and Pat McAfee and Michael Cole is going to be amazing,
right? And he can still use his other arm to get involved. I think Drew is walking away with the title in this match, and Seth's done what he can with it, and I think it's time to either potentially move on to a feud with Cody, whether that's for a title or not. That remains to be seen. But I think it's Drew's time to kind of be that heel champion on Raw, and I think he's going to do a phenomenal job, and it just sets up perfectly for, you can give him a pretty lengthy run where when Punk comes back, there's another feud that you can
especially because they go to Scotland in 2 months.
Right. So I think it just makes a whole lot of sense for Drew to walk out of there with a title.
I agree with you here, but I think the Bloodline is going to be what screws Seth Rollins out of the championship. That's what because remember, The Rock said, I can take it off of you like that. So I think somehow this is all going to involve that. But all right, Gilbert, I'm done talking. Let's talk about the big three. Go ahead.
You had to put BJ on the spot there. Hopefully that was okay for you, BJ. But Fernando mentioned your girl Bailey from the Bay Area. I remember you're from the Bay Area too, right?
That's right. San Jose.
There you go.
Also,
San Jose.
Bailey also from San Jose. Yeah.
How do you
Super
feel?
Bowl in 2026 is in the Bay Area, so
It is. Yeah.
there you go. Yeah.
There you go. So for Bailey, it feels like her match is not getting talked about as much. How do you feel about that? Are you excited for the match?
I'm really excited about the match, and that's a great point by you. Is for someone who won the Royal Rumble, I feel like this match has been swept under the rug in terms of the build, right? And obviously, I think they've done a good job with they bought some time with Dakota also turning on Bailey, right? Essentially kicking her fully out of damage control, having no allies. But I feel like Bailey hasn't been given the same shine as previous Rumble winners, right? Like Cody obviously is getting all the shine. Makes sense. It's this is a 2-year story at this point. But if you're comparing it to when Rhea won the women's Rumble last year, that was huge. Like that build for her and Charlotte, which again ended up being an incredible match as well, she was just talked about more, right? And I feel like this is so Bailey, if that makes sense, where she's one of, if not the most decorated women's champion probably in the company's history, like probably one of. I don't want to go full hyperbolic message there, but again, the fact that she won the Rumble and she chose her at that time her stablemate, right, her faction mate in Damage Control. There's so much story here that it's such a bummer that they haven't really done more with it, right? Like, they've had their backstage fights and they've jumped each other here and there. They've exchanged those, but I think Bailey deserved a bit more attention in this run, and also selfishly. So I think she's gonna win. I think that's as someone from the Bay Area, we need it. After the Niners, I'm putting all my eggs in the Bailey basket because if she loses, you might not see me for a couple of months because we are starving over here for some sort of championship.
Yeah, those are good points out by you, BJ. But in terms of the other match for Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch, a lot of attention. They're doing a good job with that one. Maybe you disagree, but it seems like they're getting a lot of hype. They almost fought each other on Hawani's show, and I was telling Fernando. Yeah. I'm a big fan of Rhea Ripley. I love what they've been doing to build her character the last year or two. A great match last year at WrestleMania against Charlotte. But it was starting to remind me a bit about when Becky became the man, and then we've missed that when she went away for a bit. Obviously, life came calling, and she's kind of has, at least in my opinion, she hasn't got to that point yet. It feels like she's getting there with this rivalry here with Rhea Ripley. How do you see this kind of playing out, and how do you like the build up for this matchup here?
Yeah, I think they've done a really good job with this build. And honestly, they started it pretty early, right? They started this build before Becky was even the number one contender, right? At that event in Vegas during Super Bowl week, Becky came out and basically called her shot, ended up winning Elimination Chamber. And now here we are. And I mean, I think Rhea is going to retain because I think she's going to be set up as the next kind of dominant long reign champion for potentially the entire company, assuming I guess we'll talk Roman after this, but she's just a total package. And with Becky, yes, it'd be nice to get her another title run at some point. I think she's just such a big star where she doesn't necessarily need the title right now. Like she just released the book, right? Which is probably going to be a New York Times bestseller. And she's going to have all these other accolades where I think Rhea is going to go over. There it is.
Oh, you got it already? Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I had to get it. Yeah.
Yeah. I have it on audiobook. It's fantastic so far. And so I do think Rhea is going to walk out of there defending the title. And again, this will solidify her leadership role in the Judgment Day as well.
Yeah. No, let me ask you real quick before we move on to the two main events of night 1 and night 2. I was so surprised that nobody, I mean, it's not like in the NFL where people know the length of contracts and when they expire and everything, but it seems like some guy from CBS, or I can't remember what podcast, actually asked her, and she's like, wow, nobody's really asked me about my contract situation. She said she only has, I think, 2 months left. I don't know if Seth is re-signed or not. That one hasn't been known. I think they had the contracts for the same amount of time. But my question is, like, are we kind of at the point where she might go and be a mom and just be a part-timer? Or because I know Rue is getting up there. I mean, she's probably what, 2.5, 3 almost.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering is it just going to be homeschooling and her just flying around with them? Like, I wonder why the deal hasn't gotten done, one, and two, if maybe that's what they're planning, like one big wrestle, and then later just her being back and forth, like wrestling here and there, not as often as she currently is.
I mean, yeah, wrestling contract negotiation stories are always interesting, right? Because
like Cody just said, he has already re-signed, and
he re-signed.
We don't know how long.
Right. But to that point, right, like Drew McIntyre's contract hasn't been resolved yet, right? Seth Rollins as well. Yeah. So like they're all kind of in the same boat in terms of, what are they going to do? I do think ultimately Becky and Seth are going to re-sign. And what that looks like, you're right. I mean, she could take some time off. Like I could see that for sure after, but I think there's a lot of momentum behind her now.
Yeah.
I think, right? Like being put back in the main title picture. This book, I think she's just as good as ever, right? If not the best she's ever been. So, I can't speak to, her desires on what she wants to do as a mom. I'm sure that she's doing an incredible job, and Seth being an incredible dad, bringing Rue around and figuring all that out, how to be a family. But whenever you hear her on these interviews or like watching her cut promos, there's still that fire there. It's just, you can sense that she's someone that still cares about what she's doing, still loves to wrestle, and will be a staple for a while, right? For a long time to come. I do think a break is probably coming, and rightfully so. I think she's earned that, but I think her and Seth are going to be around for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I just thought it was interesting that she had barely been asked about it. But I mean, how many interviews does she really do leading up now? Obviously with her book and everything, but
yeah.
But yeah, it's just interesting to see the whole dynamic of it. But all right, Gilbert asked you about The Rock, and I have some concerns about The Rock, especially on night one. The last time he fought was against Cena, and there he was winded at times. It kind of felt like Cena had to carry him. Yeah, and now it's been 10 years later. I was telling my brother the other day, I thought The Rock had lost weight. From January when we saw him in person till now. I thought he had lost weight, but when he hit Jinder Mahal in May, I keep on saying May, when he hit Jinder Mahal in January, I thought he was winded even just taking those bumps. So, yep. And then he looked a little bit winded on Monday, taking some of that stuff. But how much do you think he wrestles, and what do you think happens in this match?
Well, I think it's smart of them to put him in a tag match, right? Because Roman can take probably the majority of the time in this match, honestly. And Roman tends to work a slower pace anyway. So it's not like, it's going to be that fast pace. And obviously maybe, if you want to look at it strategically, maybe Seth and Cody want to speed that up, right? But I think The Rock is very, very protected in this match because it's a tag match. There's literally 3 other guys that he's going to, rely on to make this, shine. And I think that, what I was watching for this past Monday, honestly, was how he would take these bumps, right? When Cody went out there, and obviously it was very minimal. He fell down after a couple punches from Cody. And I do think that if he's going into this match, some of the reports coming out last year about why he didn't do it with Roman was because, he felt like he couldn't get into ring shape in time. And I think if they've known that this was the plan all along, I have to believe that someone who works as hard as The Rock in everything that he does has at least been trying to get into ring shape, right? Like we're not expecting him to work a freaking Iron Man match, right? No. Or even the majority of this match. He can be in his corner, catch a hot tag, throw a couple rock bottoms, drop an elbow, drop an eyebrow, and let's go home, right? But I think he's been set up for success here, in that there are 3 other incredible wrestlers in there with him, and they're gonna, the 4 of them are gonna make each other look great. So I'm not too worried. I would have been worried if it was a Roman Rock situation where, like there's a possibility that this dude could blow up, right? And just be exhausted, or go full Shane McMahon and tear a quad. And then what do you do?
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, and I mean, obviously, if that Roman Rock match happens in a year from now, he has a year to get really into that shape and everything.
Exactly.
And I mean, hell, if anything, Stone Cold showed us 2 years ago that you can get into, because Stone Cold went what 30, 40, almost 40 minutes with Kevin Owens, so it can be done. So what do you see in that match? Who is it going to be? Is it going to be Bloodline rules, or is there going to be nobody in there? Who wins this match?
So until Monday, I was pretty convinced it was going to be a Roman Rock victory, but then I thought it was really interesting and strange that they used the Bloodline rules stipulation on Monday, right? Where like, why would you burn it so close to when you're potentially going to run it again in a couple of days? And I was at the show with Brian H. Waters, who's one of my co-hosts on Worldwide, and he said, well, I think now that Cody and Seth are going to win, right? Because, and then, we'll talk about that match later, but I think that it's a possibility. Now, I'm a degenerate and started looking up the betting odds for this. And Roman and Rock are a minus 700 to win. And they opened at minus 500. Wow. So if the Vegas, or I don't know who's making up these wrestling lines, because they are thorough. It's increased. It's the Roman and Rock are even more of favorites than they were a couple days ago.
Wow. See, okay, and we'll give our. I actually do think Cody and Seth are gonna win this.
Yeah.
I know the odds are there, but I just feel like, well, obviously it has to do with the next match, but with night 2, but I think that they're gonna win. And I think it's gonna be no bloodline rules or whatever for a while, but I think stuff is gonna shift later. But Gilbert, who do you got in that one?
Yeah, listening to BJ's point of view, I think I'm going out with Cody and Seth, and I know we have one more question, but I just kind of want to, give what we saw last year at SoFi Stadium, Fernando. And I remember, a lot of people were really into that final match, Cody and Roman, and I'm like, all right, I got to a point where I wanted Cody to win, finish the story, like go ahead, like this is a great match, go ahead. And then it was a 1, 2, 3 to Roman Reigns. People are booing, and Fernando's right there saying, yep, that's the way it should be. Keep it going. So I got to admit, this year from that point has been a great build-up with The Rock and all that. So like you mentioned, BJ, was The Rock ready last year? He wasn't. So do it the right way, and this build has been right. So will Cody now finish the story? Are we going to go a trilogy in 2025? What's going to happen in this main event right here?
Man, I mean, look, let me just preface this with, I'm a huge Roman Reigns fan. I throw my ones up to the tribal chief all the time.
Stop.
And last year, until literally a year ago, today on this Wednesday, I thought Cody was going to win the title last year. I was just very convinced. Then everyone came, our whole Ringer Wrestling show squad came to LA, and we were recording some shows. And at that point, after just doing those shows and talking to them, I realized it was not going to happen. It was going to be a Roman victory. Now, where we are, a full calendar year later, I think Cody is going to do it. I think he's going to finish his story look, he's on the cover of WWE 2K24. The whole saying for WWE 2K24 is finish your story. Right. They're really leaning hard into this Cody thing. And I think it's also part of it also is the way that The Rock has been framing himself as the final boss, right? Like it's a video game. The final boss in every video game gets beaten. Right. So if Rock wasn't framing himself in this way where he's the final boss or whatever, I think I'd believe more that Roman is going to win. Now that I've said that, Roman's probably going to win, and it's probably going to be upsetting. But I am officially on the record. I am picking Cody Rhodes to kind of do something else. Let's just say that. Let's just go in a different direction.
See, I'm going the opposite way. Last year, I thought Roman was going to win just because I think right now they have so much invested in him. And then you hear the way Paul Heyman speaks and some of these other guys, and they say, hey, we're only in like the 4th or 5th inning of what this could potentially be. I think Sunday is going to be all out chaos. I think the referee will get knocked out. You'll get the bloodline coming out. Then all of a sudden, boom, like Jay will come out. Then all of a sudden, Cena's music will hit. Then I think the glass is going to shatter, to be honest, BJ. Like, it just seems like that's
I think so. I think that's a possibility as well.
I think that's the route that we're going. Then all of a sudden, I think Seth is going to come in and he's going to curb stomp Cody Rhodes because he's pissed he lost his championship to the bloodline. Roman takes advantage, pins Cody, and 1, 2, 3. I think they really want him to pass Hulk Hogan for that record.
Yeah, the Days Reign thing. I mean, I can't, to be honest, I can't stand those.
Think about it. And and I'm gonna piss you off even a little bit more. There's part of me that thinks that they might want him with that Bruno Santa. Because remember, he's not a 2. He has Hacksaw Jim Duggan, I think, next, and he would be number 2.
Yeah.
They always talk about, and I don't know if Roman will be able to hang till 2028 or anything like that, just because at one point this might get stale, and I totally get it. But I think he's gonna pass Hulk Hogan and at least Hacksaw Jim Duggan's record. And then he might stay there at number 2. I don't know if he'll pass Bruno just because it's way too 2028 is still what 4 years away.
4 years away, yeah.
I mean, hell, I'm all for it. If they want to do it, shit, I'll sit here and I'll watch and I'll keep on digging into it. I love it, but I think he might go to number 2. And I just think that right now Roman is the big deal. I think they're gonna move him to Raw, to be honest, to be on that Netflix. I think Netflix paid all that money to have Roman on there. I think Roman right now is the big dog still. I know that, no pun intended, he's a tribal chief. I just think he's too big to drop that championship. When Roman talks about hey, I'm way too big for this, I think he's right. I think he really is. I think if Cody wins, it's okay, finish the story. Now what? Oh, he's gonna face Drew McIntyre. Oh, he's gonna face it.
Well, I think
they still have a lot of ways to go with Roman, if I'm being completely honest. And with Cody, it's kind of you kind of want to get tantalized still, and you're kind of oh, well, is he going to finish his story? And then boom, no, he's not. And it's there's still a little bit more to tell there. But I agree with you on the side of just let him finish the damn story. He's been there. It's already been 1 year of disappointment. What about now? But I just think that they have way too much invested in Roman, and I think they're going to want Roman to keep this championship and to keep it going. I think he's the biggest star. And I mean, I saw it in the documentary. My bad. I'm almost done. Stone Cold, Hulk Hogan, John Cena, the way he was, he's I never did what Roman's doing now. I thought that was pretty, and Cena's a really humble guy. I'm surprised he would say that, because most people would be assholes. You see Joe Montana and all these other guys being yeah, right. I'm the best.
They're hesitant to relinquish it. Yeah,
exactly. And Cena's no, hell no, pass it on to that guy. He's and I heard even Cena say, I even told them before that, let him be him. I'm not the product of hey, we need the next John Cena. No, you need the next big thing. And that's why, and I could tell his frustration from being the big dog and all this crap, and now being the tribal chief. He's in his element. So I honestly think that they're going to keep it on him, but I can see the other side as well. I'm not hard-headed on, it needs to be Roman. It needs to be Roman. No, I see both sides of this.
Sure. I do think, though, the question I have then, if Roman wins, is what's next for Cody, right? Because if he ever decides to go after the World Heavyweight Championship, it's going to feel secondary, right? Even if he wins it, even if he becomes a top champion, he's basically going to be looked at least in kayfabe, as a failure still. Right.
But it took Roman a long time before he finally beat Brock Lesnar. I think it took him 4 years before.
But he was also champion before that whole feud, right? It's just
but it felt secondary because he hadn't beaten Brock Lesnar for it, in my opinion. But no, but I agree with you.
Yeah, and it's also just the way that they've built Cody, right? Where again. And look, maybe they've tipped their hand a little bit too much in that you're right. He re-signed. Who knows how long, but maybe it's, look, you'll get your championship run at the end of this deal or toward the end. I just think the Bloodline keeps talking about, this is just the 4th inning or 5th inning or whatever. The back end of this, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th inning could be Roman Rock, right? It could be for the title of head of the table or tribal chief. They don't need the title, in my opinion. That those two guys, if we're going to go down that route, which I'm assuming we will at some point, it does not need that, because putting the tribal chief title on the line
is big enough.
It's huge. That's massive. That you can sell that, right? You can sell that as a big match, and then you give Cody, his. You kind of said, like, there's never going to be another John Cena, but it's been a while since they've kind of had this opportunity to put the title on someone as over as Cody is. Man, that dude is so over. Like, for someone who is as a white meat baby face like him to be this over in 2024, with cynical wrestling fans everywhere, it's pretty nuts. And I feel like it's his time, but you're right. Like, it's, we felt that last year and Roman went over, so it could happen again. I just know it's going to be a hell of a time to get out of Lincoln Financial if Roman walks the hell out of there with the title.
Real quick before I ask Gilbert for his prediction, the Roman documentary gave away something, I think, where he said in 2015 they booed the shit out of me. They embarrassed me when I won the Royal Rumble. They made me feel like crap. He's like, 9 years later, this is coming all back to this. And that's where I kind of feel like this is Roman's revenge. Like, if anything, Roman can get revenge on the city of Philadelphia and be like, all right, you guys booed me there. And I basically, like, not quote unquote cried on my way back to the locker room, but you guys made me feel like crap. Now I'm going to make you guys cry, go back into your cars, go home, and keep on crying about Cody not winning. So that's another element to this where it just excites me. And I feel like it comes full circle where he might stand there with Philly after he lifts the championship and just goes, here's 2 for you guys. Good luck. Go home and go cry.
Yeah, I mean, the documentary was good. I felt it was very kayfabe, right? Like, there's obviously aspects where, listening to the message from his brother and everything else, we're like, oh, that's Joe.
I completely forgot that he had passed away.
Yeah, really, really, heartbreaking stuff. And I do think that there were still aspects of, to your point, that the Philly incident where Roman never fully gets out of character. Like tonight, him and Rock are going to be on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and I'm sure that they're going to be. Roman's definitely going to be in character, and I think Rock is going to toe that line because he's friends with Fallon. So it's
imagine if he beats the crap out of Fallon with the belt.
I do you think so? Let me ask you guys this:
I would do it.
They're going to run almost the same playbook as the Helwani one, where Becky came to confront her on the show. I feel like Cody and Seth are going to show up.
I think so too, and I think it's going to be a shoving match. I think there's going to be a little bit of they've changed their outlook of everything ever since VKM, and some of those guys are already like they've left. Like Kevin Dunn. Like, look at all the camera angles that they're doing now all over the ring. Look, like they're following them through the gorilla. Like, when did you ever see that? So yeah, I could totally see them doing something. But I'm not gonna lie, I think these guys would be more convincible than Becky and Rhea. Just didn't look convincing to me at all when they were in the Helwani studio. So I think here they're gonna be a little bit more convincing, and I wouldn't even doubt that punches start flying and they make it a little bit more believable. I think Fallon's desk needs a break though. Like, that's for sure. Like, if they're gonna do it, you have to break Fallon's desk.
Something,
100%. Yeah. But Gilbert, what's your thought process through?
Yeah, and I'm glad I went third and I heard both sides here, and I started thinking like, I'm going more with BJ because we did see it last year where like people were expecting Cody to win the match, and what did that Daniel say? Pick the tribal chief. Okay. But no,
he's like, don't let Gilberto pick the tribal chief. He'll curse him. That's my brother. He's one of our. He's one of the guys.
And good. I'm not gonna pick the tribal chief. I'm gonna go with Cody Rhodes here because we did it last year where people were expecting him to finish the story. He did not, and it was great. One more year extended with The Rock. I loved it. Like can it get better than that? I don't know. But I know Fernando's very convinced that he could. But I would like Roman Reigns to lose the title and maybe do like reinventing himself. Like, okay, what can I do to get hungry again and get this belt? I would like to see that chase, and I wouldn't mind seeing a trilogy next year in WrestleMania where he's not the champion you want to beat Cody Rhodes. So I'm going with Cody for this one.
Look at him there. So yeah, those are our predictions. BJ, we appreciate you so much for jumping on. Whatever you want to plug, brother, go ahead, plug it right now. Let the folks know where they can find all your amazing stuff.
Yeah, no, thanks again for having me on, guys. It's always super fun to talk wrestling with you guys. But yeah, no, check out the Ringer Wrestling Show. We've got a bunch of stuff lined up for the rest of this week. Again, we're already out here in Philly. The new Wednesday Worldwide just dropped a couple hours ago. We did it in person, so doing me, Brian, and Cal hadn't done a pod in person in a year, so it was very. The first few minutes were just me figuring out who to make eye contact with, or like, should I make intense eye contact? But no, that came out. And we've got a couple interviews lined up for the rest of the week. If anyone is in Philly, we're doing a meet and greet at Chickies and Pete's, South Philly. Come through, say what's up, 5 to 7 p.m. before SmackDown on Friday. And yeah, check out everything that we're doing for out here, just in general. But and check out the Ringer NBA show as well. Everything we're doing over there.
Oh, Gilbert, we might have to stop by and say what's up to our boy.
Come by.
Yeah, for sure.
Share an adult beverage,
There you go. Well, everybody, make sure you guys check out all of our content on Compas on the Beat. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Like we said, you never know who's going to jump on. So we appreciate BJ for jumping on. We love him. He's our boy. But obviously, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys so much. We are out on our way to Philly. So, Gilbert, ¿sabes qué? Vámonos.
On that note, nos vamos on to WrestleMania 40 in Philly. I know you're already there, BJ, but we're going to get there soon. So, on that note, nos vamos, pues, vámonos.